So it turns out that Walt Disney actually created a Cinderella film long before he ever dabbled with Snow White. Of course, this is the short Cinderella film from 1922, which is part of the Laugh-O-Gram series. And I was really excited to check this one out because it's the first one, I think the only Laugh-O-Gram, where Disney have eventually gone on to release a feature-length film depicting the same story. A lot of the Laugh-O-Grams are already based on fairy tales, and this depiction of Cinderella is pretty harmless. I say that because some of the Laugh-O-Grams are a bit questionable, particularly Jack the Giant Killer, but this one is what I expected. The one thing that I will say is very different is the style of animation, which again is kind of the case. The Laugh-O-Gram designs are Disney kind of fine tuning his style or his skill, then obviously working out what Disney as a production company over the years wants to create. And the Ugly Stepsisters specifically are very, very different in their appearance. And Cinderella's dress. I won't say what her dress is like when she goes to the ball, because I want you to watch this and check it out for yourself. But I will say, expect almost the exact opposite of the ball gown that Cinderella wears in the Disney feature-length animation, or indeed live action. Completely different. Definitely a product of its time. The story itself is pretty much similar, although there are some different characters, and the way in which the letters for the ball are delivered is very different. A lot of this is actually not about Cinderella, but about them getting ready to deliver the letters for the ball, and the way that's done I just found to be particularly cute, very amusing, and kind of quintessentially Disney. But once we get to the Cinderella aspect, her stepsisters, they are going to the ball. She wants a fairy godmother, the fairy godmother comes along. I love the design of that character, I think she's pretty great. Again, nothing like the one we know. And then she gets her dress and her carriage. The carriage looks a lot different as well. Goes to the ball, dances with the prince, has to run away, loses a shoe. Although there is a clever way in which the prince was able to. This is obviously, I'm spoiling the narrative. If you're not aware of the story of Cinderella, I do apologise. But there's an interesting way that the prince was able to track down the owner of the slipper, or at least the household where the shoe belonged, which I thought was really clever and it was very effective. I'm genuinely really impressed with the Laugh-O-Gram's Cinderella. It tells the story very well in a short space of time with not very intricate animation. It's good, the editing is very good, but obviously it's not overly detailed, given that Walt Disney was still kind of working on his craft of animation at this time. And is it my favourite Laugh-O-Gram? I think it might be. I still have a couple to see. I think Jack and the Beanstalk is missing. I don't think that's actually available anywhere, to the best of my recollection. There are a couple of others, but of the ones I've seen, which is the majority of them, I was really impressed with Cinderella, even if I wasn't comparing it to the feature-length animation. But even comparing it to it, I like things that are different. I like the decisions that were made. Ultimately, I'm very glad that the feature length turned out the way it did, because there were some decisions in this that wouldn't have carried across very well, or stood the test of time. But as a Laugh-O-Gram, Cinderella is an absolute delight.